Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Cynthia at the Table. I'm your host, Cynthia, and I have my co-host, Angela, with me. I am also super excited. We have special guests at the table with us. Yolonda De Ramus, Dawnna Brewton, Monica Paraja Dominguez. These women are part of my circle of influences and they hold leadership roles in their current organizations. And we're in the pike 5x5. Before we get started and get into it, let's have our special guests introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Cynthia and Angela, for inviting me to be on your special podcast. My name is Yolonda De Ramus, and I am the Chief Deputy Director of the Los Angeles County Public Library.
Awesome.
All right. I guess I'm up next.
That would be you.
Well, thank you guys also for inviting me. I was excited about being with you guys today. And my name is Dawnna Brewton Lawrence, and I'm with the Los Angeles County Fire Department. I'm the Chief Deputy over the business operations.
Awesome. So happy to have you as well. Now it's Monica's turn.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Monica Paraja Dominguez. I am a Senior Human Resources Manager with the Department of Human Resources, County of LA. And it is my pleasure to be presenting with my colleagues from the various departments. So thank you, Ms. McCoy Miller, for inviting me this afternoon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us at the table today. We're extremely excited. As you know, I'm celebrating my 40th career anniversary this month. For me, this month is all about sharing leadership and management nuggets that I have learned throughout my career journey that will hopefully help elevate Cynthia at the Table listeners in enhancing and achieving their career goals. For this episode, we are talking about managing through diversity. As we talk about diversity, it is only befitting that I make mention of what is happening in our political climate. We have bared witness to another monumental event in our nation's political history. Senator Kamala Harris became the first woman of color to appear on a major party ticket as Joe Biden's presidential running mate. That is so incredible. There have been only 2 Black women to hold the U.S. Senate seat. Carol Moseley Braun being the first, and then Kamala Harris, who is currently the only Black woman in the Senate. Tiffany Cross, a recent guest host on MSNBC, said that Kamala Harris is no accident. She is the result of a movement 100 years in the making. And I must continue to reiterate that point, that we have come a long way as a nation. However, ladies, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the fact that we are still dealing with significant disproportionality, disparities across systems, biases, and blatant racism in our communities, country, and nation. People of color must continue the fight together in demanding equity, respect, and inclusion. So that takes me to my first question. As Black women and women of color, what does the historic appointment of Senator Kamala Harris mean to you? I'll start with you, co-host Angela.
Good evening, ladies. I am so honored to be here with all of my accomplished county sisters, and certainly to be co-hosting with the Honorable Cynthia McCoy Miller. So with that, you will see that I have a scarf around my neck. And as she stated last night, it is family. But more importantly for me, for my 2 beautiful daughters who also share Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated with me. And so for us last night, not only was it a historical moment as we watched our president, Barack Obama, and his message, but to then bear witness to our sister take her rightful place as the nominee for Vice President of the United States of America. What it says to both of my girls, who are just the delight of my life, that everything that they have known since birth is that everything is possible. But more importantly, I turned to the two of them and I reminded them of what I have always told them. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. And Senator Harris is ready.
That's right.
Thank you.
Awesome. I'll turn to you now, Yolanda. What does it mean to you?
It was just amazing. For me, Senator Harris being nominated meant that the ceiling was shattered. I mean, as African-American minority women on this panel, I think we have all been in the room where we were the only ones. And so her being nominated just sent chills through my bones. You know, I was listening to a podcast about 2 months ago, right around Juneteenth, and I was listening to Shirley Chisholm. and I was walking and I thought, oh my God, this is just powerful. Little did we know, 2 months later, we'd have an African-American, Native American, Indian woman on this platform.
Yes, all of that.
I just think that the ceiling is being shattered, just like Angela said, turning to her young children, her daughters, but also turning to our nephews and our children of color, that anything is possible. If you set your mind to it, you can achieve it. It's reminding me too of when I grew up in like South Central Los Angeles. And like I mentioned before, just being the only one typically in my junior high or my high school class, because I was in a budgetary background, you almost felt like you were alone. And Senator Harris's speech made us feel like we're not alone. And she's iconic. And for me, if you believe, if you align yourself with others, then you can do the unimaginable. So go. Let's make it happen.
Yes.
Amazing
is the right word. Okay, Dawnna, let's hear from you.
Well, it's an amazing moment for us, I think all of us. As we've come up, I think we've had a habit of trying to be prepared and doing all the right things.
Yes.
But they put us in this little prism where you have to look a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
You had to fit a certain way. You had to act a certain way. Mm-hmm. And unapologetically, she is coming out and said, take me for all my greatness, all of my heritage, all of my background. Here I am, and I am deserving. And that's what is so powerful for me, is that we don't have to fit in any mold anymore. They don't, we're not trying to compare ourselves and try to be somebody else to move up, and she's done all the hard work, everything that she has done, her culturally, her background has made her who she is. And for other people now, it's not just Blacks, it's just everybody all over the world that's recognizing her greatness, which is so beautiful to me. Before they would say, well, it's just the Black people are recognizing or whatever like that. Right. But universally, this woman is being recognized. And I just think that's amazing. I think it's wonderful for young girls to see that you can be who you are, your Blackness, wherever you come from. You can make it. There's no ceiling. And so that's why it was so special to me and emotional for me.
I mean, I see all my sisters just shaking their head, nodding their heads as each of you speak. Okay, Monica, bring us on home with it.
Well, I have to echo what my colleagues have said in terms of there being a true cultural shift in America. I think yesterday with Kamala Harris accepting the Democratic nomination for vice president along with, Joe Biden, I think it shows that in an unprecedented year like 2020, where we have also encountered the COVID-19 pandemic, social justice issues, and so much that's going on with economy, childcare, education. There's just so much going on, but this was a high point.
Yeah.
And I think it's a high point because so many of us are able to relate to Kamala Harris. Like Kamala, I am a first generation born here in the United States. My parents are immigrants, and people often say, well, what does that mean? Aren't we all immigrants from somewhere else? Yeah, ultimately we are. My dad came from Cuba in the 60s during the revolution. My mom came from Mexico as a young girl in the mid 50s. And just a diverse background that I have that I was able to really relate to her because people often look, I'm sure, at Kamala and wonder, where are you from, Kamala? What's your background? What do you stand for? And so I felt that commonness with her. And when she was there at the lectern and sharing just how important it was to have her mother as that strong female role model,
Yes.
I think that resonated with all of us. And I, too, have a young daughter in her teens, and she has the opportunity to see this, a moment in history, and to know that anything is possible. So I think that was a big takeaway for me last night, as it was with all my female colleagues here today.
Absolutely.
Not only females, but males alike.
That's
I think
right.
it gave us an opportunity to feel that there's some hope where we may have felt hopelessness in the last few months just with everything that's been building up. So it's a great time to commemorate the suffrage movement, the 19th Amendment,
That's
everything that's gone
Yes.
on, the pinnacle, if you will. So I'm very excited about what we're to see in the next few months. So there you
Awesome,
have
ladies.
it.
Nice.
It's got
Nice.
everybody just starting off all hyped up about it.
Yeah.
Now, as you all also know, the LA County Board of Supervisors unanimously approved a motion on anti-racism, authored by Supervisor Mark Ridley Thomas, which establishes an anti-racist LA County Board policy agenda. What does this board motion mean to you, and how does it translate to the work that you all do? Again, we'll start with you, Angela.
Thank you. And so, monumental, so happy, obviously, okay, in my lifetime. 30 years working at the County of Los Angeles, never did I think that the word racism, racist, and certainly not attached to anti, that I would live to see. With it, it's a call to action. And so for me, and having been here through 3 decades, and I'm sure my colleagues will echo the sentiment, as optimistic as I am, and I am optimistic, I am ever hopeful. And my legacy for the department has been that of equity.
Yes.
That we take this call to action and we move to action. I have been asked by many, from the CEO's office to our own very dear department, my thoughts on the motion. And so for me, to mandate something, again, monumental is legislative and that kind of thing. But as you very well know, more is caught than taught. And what that means is what is going to happen after the gavel has been thrown, after the gauntlet. Then what? What will we see every day in our walks of life in LA County?
Right.
What will that look like? What will that become? How will our policies change? But more important for me, what will our practice be? What will our walk be? Will our talk change? Those things that are implicit bias, will that begin to look different? If I say to you, can you think differently about the way that you said that? Will that be offensive, or will you think growth? Are we in a growth mindset? Is it going to mean more than us all applauding the motion? So I'll stop there and I'll pass
that
it
was
over
a mouthful then. That was
to our colleagues.
Okay, now, Yolanda.
Well, I was thinking about this and pretty much echoing what Angela just stated, but in libraries, we, as well as DCFS, you guys understand this, and DHR and fire as well, many of the county departments that we serve, there have been conversations focused around equity, diversity, and inclusion. predominantly over the last 4 to 5 years, both on a local, but more so on a national platform, right? But what was really impactful about what the LA County Board of Supervisors did is it built in accountability.
Yeah.
And what we have learned, what we were learning and doing some work in libraries is, okay, diversity, inclusion, all of that. Now what? What does that mean? What is the policy? What is the accountability? And so it was exciting. Like Angela, I've been with the county for about 24 years now. And I couldn't even imagine, because, racism or bias or all of those terms.
Yeah.
Exactly. You feel it. It was taboo. And so they have made the Board of Supervisors, as well as our fantastic department heads, and each of us work for some phenomenal department heads.
Amazing. Yes.
Made it uncomfortable, and it's a part of our nomenclature now. So it's okay to open up the conversation. I remember going to a conference in San Diego, library conference a few years ago, and the thing that brings to light is on this whole diversity and racism policy agenda is being able to look in the mirror, look at those structures, look at the policies, look at the procedures, look at the contracts. All of it's been weaved throughout all of the 300, 400 years since 1912 when the county was created. Bless their hearts, our founding forefathers. But now is the time for change. And it's okay. I think it's okay for people to be uncomfortable because, like Angela said, that creates a learning environment. If your molecules are starting to bounce around, we all have it. You can be white, black, it doesn't matter. You all have some sort of implicit bias. However, if you're uncomfortable enough to make some change and want to see change for your children, because our forefathers did that for us.
Yeah.
We do not now have the right to just sit back. And I feel like I've been guilty as an Xer, Generation Xer, being a little complacent, because we wanted to strive to get the education that our parents were not able to get. Coming from, like Monica said, from Mexico, or some of our parents left the South to get a better life and experience that racism here. So what I just, again, really like about this is that it's a bold attempt to push the agenda to the forefront, have some accountability rather than just lip service. I mean, they want a board report and probably a board report and a board report and a board report. And everybody is going to be responsible for it, so that it doesn't die off, and that it truly has a future going forward. So I'm excited.
Nice.
Awesome. Clearly, my sisters are really passionate about this one. I'm going to toss it on over to you now, Dawnna.
So, no, I agree with everything that's been said. I think it's very similar to when they came with the county policy of equity.
Yeah.
When that came out, it was like an awakening call. Like, okay, we're putting you on notice that it's not all right.
Right.
And I think that, we had trainings over the years, but it didn't really resonate. For the people that didn't want to get it, didn't really want to understand it, they just didn't. Mm-hmm. And now when it's connected to their performance, I think now they're like, oh, shoot. And now they're a little uncomfortable. They didn't know what to do. I remember when the county policy of equity came out and people was like, can I even shake your hand? I don't know what I can do now.
That's right.
And so, but it's good because it's making people think, it's making them realize that when I walk into that workplace, I don't care what I believe at home, but when I walk into that workplace,
right,
I have to be mindful. We've had a lot in the fire department. Our fire chief has been so wonderful as far as pushing all of these different initiatives. And, we've been making progress, but there's a lot of folks that really don't want to hear it. A lot of folks are just saying that just because he's an African American, that's the only reason why we're talking about this. But this isn't an African American thing. This isn't any race, gender.
That's right.
This is something that's important to everybody. And when we're better, everybody's better.
That's
we're bringing everybody up. And so I think by having that come out, it puts everybody on notice that we're going to be better, and holding people accountable. And, I'm hoping that at some point we get where it's just very natural. Like right now, I think we've made some strides with equity. I think we've made some strides. I think people realize, okay, that's not right. You better stop that conversation. Right. We still got road to go. But when it comes to racism, and especially in the climate that we're in right now, there's no better time to have this, because people are feeling very, very comfortable saying whatever they feel. Right. And it's scary. Yeah. It's very, very scary. It's very sad to me when I go in and people just blatantly say certain things and feel like it's okay to say it. And a lot of that is ignorance, but I think this is an opportunity where we can be better as an organization, as a county. And it's things like this that is very critical that we make a mandate that it's not acceptable in this county. Right. So I'm happy that they did it. And, I've been in the county for 33 years, almost 33 years, and it's emotional for me because I start thinking about all the stuff that I just put up with. All the stuff that I had to deal with, because everybody made me seem like I'm crazy, like I'm overly sensitive. You know what I mean? And now there's some validation. There's like, no, that's not okay, And so I'm hoping that people get, become more educated and understanding what racism means, and that they're not going to treat people differently, and that everybody's equal. And I'm looking forward to what the county has to come.
Nice. Monica, shake your head and ready.
I have to agree with the three ladies. I started back in the county in 1989 as a student worker. And boy, that was a whole different county back in the late 80s versus where we are today. And I think that having the opportunity to be in the county at a time where Supervisor Ridley Thomas had the foresight to create such a motion and to mandate change. As you ladies know or are aware, that these changes, yes, that a report back has to be provided by the CEO in collaboration with sister departments as to what the response will be to what has been set forth. And I'm over the map, the appraisal. Yes. So we're going to have an actual initiative that relates to how is it that we are putting forward our efforts for anti-racism in our department. So department heads are going to be tasked with doing that, providing that. So I think that's great, because from the department heads is where we get our direction. And so we know that they need to follow that mandate. And as a result of that, our department has to support that department head. So I think there's going to be a lot of growth in that. Like my colleague said, there's going to be a lot of uncomfortableness in that. It's okay. It's okay. Those are growing pains, and that is indicative of the fact that we're moving, we're growing, we're evolving. So it's okay to be uncomfortable. In fact, it's necessary for progress, I think, to be uncomfortable. And so I'm really excited about the fact that the motion is something that is at the forefront. I think you have the benefit of hearing the Board of Supervisors meeting where each of our department heads chimed in about what this meant to them. And my esteemed department head, Ms. Garrett, who has been a pioneer in so many respects, had an opportunity to chime in. And she's very serious about equality, about inclusivity, and being the Department of Human Resources. I think we have a duty to set the tone for the County of Los Angeles together with Chief Executive Office. So I think that having the leadership that we do in Department of Human Resources, you're going to see a lot of moving and shaking. So we're excited about that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if any of you had an opportunity to see the digest publication for summer of 2020 My division put that out, and we started with George Floyd on the cover, and I hope you had an opportunity to see the insightful articles that we put forth. We're really excited, really proud of that publication. And we want to continue to ensure that we do have something in each of our division or each of our publications whenever we bring those out that do speak to inclusivity, diversity, that which is going on and what we're doing as a county to support that effort. So all that to say that in each department, we have different cultures that we encounter. Like Chief Lawrence said, some go kicking and screaming when it comes to policies, procedures, guidelines to be followed. But I'm hopeful because we have a multi-generational county. Some want to come along for the ride. Others are not so interested. But it really gives us an opportunity to address the pink elephant in the room. And when it's in writing, in black and white, it's dated July 21st, 2020. And we have to, report back and show what type of progress we're making, although it may be, incremental steps, baby steps, always showing that we're going forward and never
Absolutely.
So I'm excited about this, Cynthia. I've been working closely with Cynthia and DCFS in the last year, learned a lot. So I know we have some more work ahead of us, but we do as a county. Yeah, we do as a county, and I had the good fortune of working with Chief Lawrence at Fire. We got some work to do, but that's okay. I think we're up to the challenge, and as long as we're up to the challenge, we're able to pass that baton to the next generation so that they continue the good work. I think we're in a good place.
I would agree.
Nice,
ladies. Very well. Very good responses. My next couple of questions that some of it you've touched on it because your passion is coming through in your responses. And so, feel free to kind of elaborate more as based on my next questions. My next question basically has to do with, and each of you again touched on it a little as you were talking about how that board motion translates to what you do day to day. How will it affect the way you currently manage? And what is the primary thing from each of you I would like to know that you would want to accomplish from this motion? I know that there's always deliverables and action steps, but what is that primary thing that you would want to accomplish and see happen? Angela.
So I love this question. I was waiting on it. So approximately 3 years ago, as I transcended the executive level, I had a dream, and it was for the Department of Children and Family Services to have what I thought at that time would be a division, an equity division. And so it was a well-guarded secret. I hadn't shared it with anyone. And so I had a manifesto. And so I took it to someone in the department. And that person happened to be the Senior Deputy Director, Cynthia McCoy-Miller. She looked at it, and if you know her well. No expression. She looked at it, and she looked at me. And she said, "Tell me more." And so I did that. She made a safe space for me to really share with her what it was that I, in my wildest dreams, didn't believe could happen. She's very decisive, and you know that. She then said to me, "We're going to take this to the director of the department." And we did so. Never did I believe that would then become a motion that the director, along with Cynthia McCoy-Miller, would take to the Board of Supervisors, and that it would then become the Office of Equity, the first of its kind in child welfare.
That's right.
So when you ask me about accomplishments and what I would like to see, it has already happened in our department. And for me, it is just the greatest honor that the Office of Equity that I was allowed to onboard, again with the support of Cynthia McCoy-Miller, has now moved to the director's office under the Chief Deputy Director. And it will be the linchpin for our department. And so when you talk about accomplishments and you talk about a legacy, for me, it has already happened. And so now it is just my hopes that those that will come after me and after Cynthia McCoy-Miller and I are long gone, that one person, a colleague, said to me today, as they're watching Office of Equities that are now, sprouting up across the nation, but they know that it was a dream of ours 3 years ago. The colleague said to me, wow, the greatest form of flattery. And I said to the colleague, no, this is the soul's desire. This is my heart's work. So with that, I wanted to share that with you this evening. And I again wanted to say to Cynthia McCoy Miller from the bottom of my heart, I know that all of my years of what I've given to the county was for a day like this, that you would have a strong African-American mentor, one that, again, because she stayed ready, that she didn't have to get ready, that when someone like me could come to her, another African-American woman, and share my dream, my heart's work, that she was in a position to take that and to stand beside me with a phenomenal director and make that a reality. And I wanted to share that with my sisters, my colleagues this evening.
So extremely proud of you. Yes, you did that.
Well, we can conclude the session now with that.
Yolanda. Well, go on and speak up, Yolanda. It is your turn.
Oh, that was so beautiful. You know what?
We've shared the stage together, Yolanda, Equity Conference.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
But what I would like to pull from what Angela just said, and both honoring you and recognizing you, Cynthia, for being open and starting the Office of Diversity, this is exactly the precursor to the anti-racist agenda, right? It's like all of these little things and these little nuggets were happening in each of our respective departments around equity, diversion, and inclusion. And then we were in sync as a county, and Supervisor MRT had this policy agenda. But in terms of what I'd like to see as an accomplishment is it's happening now. It's opening up the conversation and the platform. So we also, through the leadership of my county librarian, Sky Patrick, who's been with us since 2016, she had created a number of innovative programs. I can't even name them all. But one of the things that we also wanted to create in this year was an equity position in our program section, because we need to call it out. We have equity and that focus kind of interweave through all of our programs and services, and it keeps continuing to grow. But I do recall when we were at the conference last year and Angela mentioned that, I said, oh, you guys already have that. The agenda is so great because it's formulating conversations. I think with the appointment of a lot of the new department heads in the last 5 years, there has been an increased amount of collaboration. That is not to discount former leaders because they were there for that time. Yeah. This time it was a call for new, different leadership styles. And so when Angela had mentioned that, I was like, okay, this is what this agenda is doing. And we talked about it earlier, is that it's opening up the conversation. And so what I would like to see is that more conversations will happen around the work that we are individually doing and collectively doing. Like some of the, when I was looking at the agenda, it mentioned some of the outcomes is improved educational outcomes and better physical and mental care, health care and outcomes, and meaningful employment and equitable, fair, and criminal justice. I think what I would like to see is us as a county continue to expand that and say, okay, library, for instance, you served 455,000 youth last year. And we're talking with DCFS about library cards for foster youth or educational system, or we were working with DMH with clinicians in libraries, or we're helping with resume writing. And so there's an engagement possibly with that. So I think this policy agenda not only because we're going to be required to report back, but also is an opportunity for leadership, top down, throughout organizations, bottom up. It doesn't matter, to just have greater conversations. And so I'm looking forward to what this agenda is going to bring. In terms of how I'm managing through diversity, I think it's something that we all do every single day. When we're creating a program or we're designing a service, we are asking the question, who are we serving? Who are the underserved? And who are we leaving out? And I think, again, this is what this policy agenda is forcing us to look at, is who are we leaving out, and feeling comfortable about asking the question, and not everybody looking at the table side-eye like, well, yeah, maybe we left out the minority young men. Well, that's not okay now.
Right.
It's inclusive. And I think as this moves forward, I always forget the number, you guys. Is it 36, 37, 38 county departments? All of us working together, I think, is just going to be phenomenal. Those are my 2 cents.
Yes.
So for me, it's interesting because when I joined the fire department, and I would say that it was probably one of the hardest interviews I had, because it was about 2 hours with Daryl Osby.
Wow.
And telling me about all the things that he wanted to do. And a good portion of the time that we spent together talking, a lot of it had to do with diversity, and bringing more women into the organization, African American, all the underrepresented groups. He wanted it to be a better organization, and so, but that wasn't really under my area of responsibility. So at one point, they were doing different things. I mean, I had HR, but all of the recruitment and the organizational development group, they weren't really under me. And so I finally went to him and I said, I hear all the things that you want, but, can I be a part of it more? Can I get involved and bring those groups under me? And so with his leadership and all of the discussions that we had, we started forming a lot of different programs that would help, because what we found is in our department, it's about 5,000 employees. 95% of the employees are firefighters, are lifeguards. And of that group, less than 2% represent women. Maybe 6% is African American men. And then if you start looking at Asian, you get down even lower, right? But the biggest group is Hispanics and white Americans. So, but this is a career that is more generational. You find that people, they have a kid, and before the baby is 1 year old, he has like a little firefighter hat on and all this stuff. It's bred into them, right? They start learning about the tools that you use and everything like that. So when it comes to a time where people are going out and applying, it seems very natural for them because they're familiar with it. But if you look at other, like women, they may not have the opportunity to deal with some of the tools that we typically would deal with as a firefighter. African-American boys, they're living in inner city, they may not have had that opportunity to experience, how they work in a team, and, because it looks very scary. I mean, when I would come there, I'm like, oh, scary, really scary. You're going into a fire, I'm going to get burned. But, there's a lot of teamwork and things like that. So you got people that are involved in sports that know how to work in a team, and they're not able to translate that into the fire industry. So we started doing a lot of different programs. We created different programs for women so that they have an opportunity to come in and learn how to deal with the tools, understand how we work in teams. We work with Mark Willie Thomas and had a program with youth at risk, where we brought them in, taught them how to get their EMT license. They took the license, and if they passed, they were able to get on with McCormick, company and have a job. So really trying to reach out to these areas and have them understand that they too could be a firefighter or a lifeguard. We partner with Parks and Rec. They had different programs where they did things at the lakes and in the parks, but kids not familiar because of logistically where they're located, they don't know. So the ocean is very scary to them. So we partner with them and create the AWARE program so that at the end of their programs that they had, we'll take them for a couple of days to the ocean. And so that they can see that those skills that they have there translate very easily into the ocean. So we're trying to make it where they can see that they can be, reach these goals that seem untouchable before, trying to educate them that that is not a career that they need to be afraid of. They can, join the league and be successful. And so it's been very interesting because there's a lot of people in our organization that was a little bit afraid of trying to help us with those programs because, it's kind of like, no, what are you doing? You're wasting your time. That's not a program you need to be involved in and everything. But through the fire chief's leadership and us just keep going at it, we're starting to see that there's a lot more people that would like to see some diversity in our organization, and so when they start seeing that it's okay to be involved in these programs, you start seeing people come up with all kind of creative ideas and saying, hey, why don't we do this? And reaching out to kids when they see them, when they're on the fire station or on the engine and they're going out there, talking to the kids, letting them know. So I think by these, this motion and by the initiatives that the fire chief had came up with, it lets people know it's okay. And those people that in their heart feel like, hey, I want to make a difference and I want to educate people, they're starting to do it naturally on their own. And I like to see that continue to grow in our organization because that's the only way that we're going to get the diversity that we need in our to make us better. So that's what I would like to see in the future more of. And it's just going to take more time, as far as us making progress, but we're getting there step by step.
Incredible. That's a lot. Monica?
So as you are aware, Cynthia, we do have several pipeline programs, countywide pipeline programs that I and my team have the pleasure to oversee. And those pipeline programs are geared toward populations that have historically faced barriers to training and employment. It's people of color, of course, those that have possibly been, former foster youth or currently foster youth, at-risk youth, those with disabilities, justice involved. We just have an opportunity to reach out to these communities to offer them a glimpse into what it would look like to be a part of this wonderful county of Los Angeles. And like Yolanda had said, 37 departments strong, approximately 111,000 employees. The square mileage, I don't know too many miles to remember, but the county is very large and the county has to be reflective of a cross-section of our community. And so in saying that, our outreach and recruitment efforts also have to be in harmony with that. And so I think that we're making greater strides in reaching out to individuals in our communities and, bringing knowledge about related to our county and the types of services that we offer, the employment opportunities that we have. I know we're facing some current budget curtailments and it's making it a little more challenging than what it might have been previously. But there are those positions that remain open that need to be filled. And we're able to do so, I think, when we start at home in the county where we have, say, a diverse staff, a diverse department that we are working with, and that we're doing the outreach to those individuals that haven't received that outreach maybe previously and being creative about doing it.
That's right.
I'm also working on another motion that's related to women in technology. Certain professions were not seen as being for X or for Y. As Chief Lawrence indicated, firefighting was not something that you would typically encourage a female to pursue. And now our mind, we're shifting our thought processes and being a little more open-minded about how we go about, putting out information and reaching individuals who may have never thought about certain professions because they were not attainable, or they didn't seem attainable. They were closed off from those professions. And so we're making strides in that way. I think that when you start to see colleagues and what our workforce looks like, it is probably the most diverse that it's been in probably years. And I'm really happy about that. And so I think that having a diverse staff like I do currently, which is wonderful, we all have an opportunity to share about our backgrounds, and we all have strengths, and we all have connections to our communities that have proven helpful, I think, when we've thought about, okay, strategies and how to go about maybe reaching this group versus that group. So it's helpful. It's helpful to have a diverse group of individuals that come together, that brainstorm, that collaborate, and then also can reach out to other departments in turn, and we become even stronger in numbers. And so I think with the anti-racist motion, we've had an opportunity to collaborate, countywide with several departments. And you also discover just how many resources we have in the county. It's amazing. Sometimes because we operate just independently and don't do a lot of outreach, we're not aware of these resources. So I have become keenly aware of what our sister agencies like DCFS, Fire, and Public Library have in terms of resources. And thank you, Yolanda. Sky Patrick has been amazing.
Yes.
And
they're always giving too.
Right?
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, they
She's
are.
left me astounded. It's like, wow.
Yes.
So thank you for that. Please pass that along to her.
I sure will.
Very dynamic, very dynamic. And so I think that as we continue to bring in much more diverse individuals who represent the county as a whole. And I'll tell you, I've been bringing in several department heads as of late, and you're really starting to see a shift, like we said, in who is being appointed as a department head. It's exciting. We're seeing more women too, so that's always good. So I 2020, like I said, I think we're at the pinnacle and we're going to be seeing a lot of changes. And so it's exciting, and it gives us an opportunity to, diversify even the way that we do business. So that's what I've got to say in terms of inclusivity, diversity, and how, if in any way, are we changing our management styles. I think being more open-minded and open to change and being receptive to change is always good. So that's where I think we're at right now.
Awesome. Awesome, ladies. And Angela and I often talk about, too, and translate it into what does it mean, look, and feel like? We talk about policies and how things change and what we want to accomplish, but really, how does it look and feel and mean to you? And I know for me, managing through diversity means forging ahead despite the odds against you. And one of these other things, these big things that Angela and I talk about, it also means despite our hue. And that what people focus on when you walk in the room, it being about your hue when you walk in the room. And we still allow the content of our character to shine through. And I think that is so key and important. And so I hear, even when we're talking about specific questions about accomplishments and all of that, that continues to come through in a lot of what you are saying and you're responding to. What does it look, feel like, and mean? To not just us, to our constituents, to our staff, to our stakeholders, to our clients, and to our community who all hold us accountable, and as we should be as public servants. So this is really ideal, and they need to hear how we feel and what does it mean to us, and what is our role, and what is the part that we're going to play in forging ahead on these areas. Do any of you have some best practices to share with the listeners for creating and managing a diverse workplace? Angela, any best practices, any little nuggets or things for the toolbox that you would want to share?
And I want to start off by saying to all of these ladies, the nuggets that I have received this evening, I hope you saw me over here ferociously writing, because I also happen to be the Deputy Director for Youth Development Services. So everything that is transitional age youth. So as I listen to Dawnna and Yolanda and Monica, I am writing. So I will be reaching out to you. So that brings me to one of my nuggets that I share oftentimes with my staff. Network. And I mean authentic networking and relationship building. And one thing for all of our younger staff and those that we're mentoring, stay true to yourself. Don't let anyone pull you off of your chair. What I have heard here as a common theme from all of us that I see in what I call the Hollywood squares is that no matter what it has taken, no matter what was thrown at us, what we've walked through, what we've sat through, we stay true to who we are. And so that would be a nugget that I will continue to impart as I continue with my career here at the county.
Awesome. What about you, Yolanda?
I would just say that always try to upgrade yourself in your mindset and thinking in terms of creating and managing or leading a diverse workforce. I have some notes written down, and Monica stole them right out of my mouth, and I think that just really plays into this synchronicity that we all have, and that we're all on the same wavelength. But what I noted about managing or leading a diverse workforce is if you have the opportunity to not just have somebody on your team, like you say, based on their hue or the common ones, your color, your race, your gender. But if you know someone's backstory or maybe their socioeconomic background or people in different professions or maybe an entrepreneur, all of us are always evolving. Sexual identification, differing physical abilities, and even political beliefs. Mm-hmm. But when you have a blended workforce, it's to me just a breeding ground for a much more inclusive and tolerant and challenging workforce. And so I think that we've actually put in some initiatives that we discussed at the equity conference when we were all on panel, specific instances where you talk with your team, you have things that you write down. We call it our I Count initiative, where we build in equity within the programs and the services that we have. And we have a blended workforce. We had teams where we pulled some of our warehouse workers, for instance, to participate on the team, to even be mentors in some of the programs. So I think that going forward, my nugget is everyone has a backstory and everybody can contribute. And if we can just be as open as we can, ask appropriate questions, always with your HR manager or your HR, because you don't want to get in trouble. But again, just being open and having more inclusion would be my nugget. If we can strive towards that. And like Monica mentioned earlier too, we've been a part of or been connected to professions where women typically didn't exist. I remember there was a point in time where we were recruiting for a predominantly male-dominated position in our department, and I asked the question, well, what are you doing to reach out to other areas? I mean, I know we're kind of bound by civil service rules and you have the ban, but what are your recruitment efforts? If you're looking for interdepartmental transfers, are you reaching out to others? Asking the questions and not being afraid to do that. Again, consult with the HR. Oh, your HR. But we're empowered now. Non-women and non-Blacks are empowered.
Okay. Dawnna?
So for me, I think that networking is extremely important as well as mentoring. You know, like I said, I've been in the county for 33 years and I wouldn't have gotten to where I am if I didn't have somebody looking out for me. looking out for me in a way of like tapping me on the shoulder and educating me about something, getting me involved in different things, not treating this job as it's just a job. I'm going to do a task. They taught me that you have a responsibility, one, to do your job well, but then to make it better. And to make it better not only in the operation that you're over, but then to make it better for the people around you. And you seek out people that need help, that you see that's struggling, that has, different challenges that's going to come their way, and you help lift them up, And so for me, it's just been, I feel good about what I'm doing to help other people. And when I start helping other people, and for a variety of reasons, I may pick somebody because, they seem lost in their career. I may pick certain people where they just can't, they keep hitting the block wall and they don't know how to get through it, But when I get with those individuals and try to help them, they start bringing the operation starts improving, And that was just really important to me. And that's where I got a lot of my satisfaction. It wasn't like looking for another job and looking for that dollar. That's going to come if you do your job well, But it's got to be something that's come in where you're feeding your soul. And I think the rest will come with you. So I've had a lot of mentors. I try to be mentors to individuals, near and far. I still keep in touch with all the mentors that I had over the years. And I know that there was a lot of other ones out there that I don't even know.
That's fine.
I didn't even know that they were looking out for me and guiding me and opening doors that I thought that I didn't even know that was closed to me. So my pearls of wisdom is, always try to do your best in your job, but always try to help those around you, because when you bring everybody else around you up, it just makes the organization better. And then they're going to propel and help others. And we're going to just continue to be better. So.
Very well said. Very well said. Monica?
Everything that these ladies have said has truly resonated with me. I know that Chief Lawrence did not share this, but Chief Lawrence has been a mentor of mine for a few years now. And, Chief Lawrence was the first female to serve in the capacity as Chief Deputy in the LA County Fire Department. She won't say it, but I will.
I love it.
Someone that I deeply respect, someone that I've gone to ask for professional advice, has provided that sound advice. I think she's absolutely right. When you're doing work you love, and I will tell you, being over the programs that I'm currently over, this is icing on that cake. I love this job that I'm currently in, this career path that I've been fortunate enough to take with helping those in underserved communities. Wow, what a great sense of satisfaction, paying it forward, bringing those along with you that you can and who are willing to get on the bandwagon with you.
Elevate.
Leaving it better than what it was when you got there. And that's a different perspective for everyone. But I will tell you that just like all of you have said, it really is just lending a hand to that person who's coming up behind you. Instead of pushing them down, pulling them up with you. Being there as a listening ear, remembering that they're not robots, that they're people who have lives outside of work, who encounter challenges just like you do. And being flexible and understanding and meeting them where they're at, because each of your staff is different. They have different lives, different circumstances, different stories. So being human and remembering that we all are just that, I think makes you a better manager, makes you a better person. All in all, let's just be real. So I will tell you that in the county, I've been very fortunate to meet so many wonderful people. Not to say that I haven't met a couple of heels, but that discussion for another time, because this is about positivity. But the wonderful people that I've met along the way and who have provided both personal and professional advisement and have helped me in my development. So we are so lucky to have had those opportunities. And I thank my lucky stars for that. And being a part of this panel today where I get to, have these incredible ladies impart their knowledge and wisdom with me and those who are listening to our broadcast. So just doing it, paying it forward, and just, being a good person. People always used to say, and I used to hate this saying, was, oh, nice guys finish last. I hated that saying. That's not true. That's not true at all.
It's not.
Put positivity out, you're going to get it back tenfold. I believe it.
It's true.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just make lasting impressions based upon professionalism, character, work ethics, and confidence. After all, diversity is about differences and what makes us unique. And as the renowned Dr. Brian T. Marks said, we all know Dr. Brian T. Marks, right?
Correct.
Right.
Trained all the time on implicit bias. Different is just different. Not better, not worse, just different. In leadership and management, the common thread should not be based upon what you look like or what you talk like. It is your professional credibility and integrity that your subordinates, peers, and management will appreciate and remember the most. All right, ladies.
All right.
That's our
Right.
time.
Thank
I
you
hope you
so
all
much.
enjoyed this episode on managing through diversity and that you have some tips and tools to take back to your workplace and places of business.
Absolutely.
I want to thank from the bottom of my heart our special guests, Yolonda, Dawnna, and Monica. Be sure to join us next week for another episode on faith, family, and friends, and how they help keep us and hold us together. With that, I'll leave you all with a quote from Michelle Rudd, former recipient of Savoy's Most Influential Black Lawyers. And she said, each of us has unique skills, insights, and experiences that inform how we both problem solve and how we recognize opportunities. Embracing our differences allows us to make the most of our resources. At its core, diversity makes us sustainable. It's been said that there are no excuses, only priorities. For us, ladies, diversity is a priority. Let's work together in making diversity a priority in our respective workplace and places of business. Once we recognize diversity and embrace it, the real work begins. Once again, let's embrace it. It is then and only then that we can focus on performance and outcomes that makes the difference in the lives of others, our organization, and our community. Listeners, don't forget to follow us on Facebook and drop us a line if you have something special to celebrate for August. Until then, continue to be safe, stay well, and stay connected. Thank you all so very much again.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Ladies.
Good night, ladies.
Congratulations on your 40 years.
Thank you.
Wonderful service.
Thank you.